White played bishop f3. Pause the video to spot black's next move. Knight takes f3. King takes f3. On h5. King g2. King e4. King f1. King f3. King e1. On f5. King f1. On f4. Black is preparing to play pawn takes g3 and dominate the board. Pawn takes f4 was chosen by white. King takes f4. King e2. King g4. King e3. King takes h4. King f4. Pawn g6. King e4. King g4. Pawn f3 check. King g3. Black is planning to play pawn h4. King e5. King takes f3 and seized the initiative. Pawn f4 was chosen by white. King g4. King e5. Pawn h4. Black is setting up to play pawn h3. King f6. King takes f4 and dominate the board. King f6 was chosen by white. King takes f4. King takes g6. Black has a decisive advantage. Let's go to the next game. Black played pawn f5. Pause the video to find out white's response. King takes a4. King b6. Pawn f3. King c6. King a5. White is setting up to play pawn g4. King c7. King b5 and secure a stronghold in the game. Pawn g4 move preferred by black. Black is preparing to play pawn takes h3 and seize the initiative. Pawn takes g4 move preferred by white. Pawn takes g4. Pawn takes g4. King d7. King b6. White is aiming to play King c5. King e6. Pawn g5. King f5. King takes d5 and increase their advantage significantly. King d6 played by black. Pawn g5. King e6. King c6. King f5. King takes d5. King takes g5. King e6. White considers playing King f7. King g4. King takes g7 and dominate the board. King g4 was chosen by black. On d5. White is preparing to play King f7. King takes g3. King takes g7 and secure a stronghold in the game. King takes g3 was chosen by black. King f5. King f3. On d6. King e3. King g6. King d4. On d7. King e5. King takes g7. King d5. Black's loss is confirmed. Let's go to the next game. Black played King e5. Pause the video and try to find white's next move. On h5. King e4. Black is looking to play on f4. King c5. King e3. King c6. King takes e2 and increase their advantage significantly. King c5 played by white. King e3. Black might go for King takes e2 and seize the initiative. King d5 move preferred by white. King takes e2. King e5. White is planning to play King takes f5 and seize the initiative. On f4 played by black. Black is aiming to play on f3. King d6. On f2. King c7. Pawn promotes to queen at f1 and establish a winning position. King takes f4 played by white. King d3. King f5. King d4. King g6. King c4. King takes h6. King b5. King g5. King takes a6. King f4. King b5. King e3. On the 5. On h6. White considers playing. King d2. On a4. King c2. On a3. King b1 and establish a winning position. On a4 move preferred by black. King d3. White is preparing to play. King c2. On a3. King b1. King c4. On h7. King d4. On promotes to queen at h8 check. King d3. Queen b8 and secure a stronghold in the game. On a3 played by black. Black's idea is to play. On a2. King e4. On promotes to queen at a1 and secure a stronghold in the game. On h7 was chosen by white. King c6. King c4. King d7. On promotes to queen at h8. King e6. White is clearly ahead. Let's go to the next game. White just played. On h3 pause the video to find out black's response. On h4. Black considers playing. King c5. King f2. On b5. On g4. On takes g3 check. King takes g3. On takes a4 and gain a significant edge. King f3 move preferred by white. On b6. King e3. King c5. King f3. On b5. Black is preparing to play. Pawn takes a4 and increase their advantage significantly. On g4 move preferred by white. On takes g3. King takes g3. On takes a4. King h4. King d5. King g5. White intends to play. King takes f5 and take decisive advantage. King e4 was chosen by black. On h4. King d3. On h5. King c2. King g6. King takes b2. King takes g7. On a3. On h6. On a2. Black intends to play. King takes c3 and gain a significant edge. On h7 move preferred by white. On promotes to queen at a1. Black intends to play. King b3. King g6. Queen takes c3. King takes f5. Queen d3 check and establish a winning position. On promotes to queen at h8 played by white. Queen d1. Queen c8. Queen g4 check. King f8. Queen takes f4. Queen c5. White's loss is confirmed. Let's go to the next game. White made a move. On h3 pause the video and try to predict black's next move. King c6. King d3. King b5. King e4. King takes b4. King takes e5. King takes a5. King f5. On h6. On f4. White is planning to play. On takes g5. On takes g5. King takes g5 and establish a winning position. On takes f4 played by black. King takes f4. King b4. King g4. On the 5. King h5. King c4. King takes h6. King d5. King g5. King e6. On h4. King f7. On h5. On a4. On h6. King g8. King f5. On a3. King e5. On a2. King d6. On promotes to queen at a1. King c6. Black has a decisive advantage. Let's go to the next game. White played. On f4 check. Pause the video to spot black's next move. On takes f4 check. On takes f4 check. King f6. On takes f5. King takes f5. King f3. On g5. Black wants to play pawn takes f4 and put immense pressure on the opponent. Pawn takes g5 move preferred by white. King takes g5. King g3. King f5. Black considers playing King e4. King g4. King takes d5 and increase their advantage significantly. Pawn h4 played by white. King e5. Black is looking to play King takes d5 and establish a winning position. Pawn h5 move preferred by white. King f5. King f3. Pawn h6. King e3. King g4. Black intends to play King takes h5 and establish a winning position. King e4 move preferred by white. King g5. Black wants to play King g4. King e3. King takes h5 and establish a winning position. King f3 was chosen by white. King takes h5. King f4. White is planning to play King f5. King h4. King e6. Pawn h5. King takes d6 and seizes the initiative. King g6 move preferred by black. King e4. King g5. King f3. Pawn h5. King g3. King f5. King h3. King e4. King h4. King takes d5. King g5. Black has a strong upper hand. Let's go to the next game. White played King e3. Pause the video to find out black's response. King e5. King f3. King d4. Black is looking to play King c4. King e4. King b3. King f5. Pawn g4 and seize the initiative. Pawn b5 move preferred by white. King d3. Pawn a4. White might go for Pawn a5. Pawn g4 check. King g3. King e2. Pawn b6. Pawn takes b6. Pawn takes b6 and establish a winning position. King c4 move preferred by black. Black considers playing King b4. King e4. King takes a4 and take decisive advantage. King e4 was chosen by white. Pawn g4. King f4. King b4. King g5. King takes a4. King takes h5. King takes b5. King takes g4. On a5. King f5. On a4. King f6. On a3. King e5. King c5. King e4. King d6. Black is setting up to play King e6. King f4. On a2. King g5. Pawn promotes to queen at a1 and secure a stronghold in the game. King f5 was chosen by white. King d5. Black's idea is to play Pawn a2. King f4. Pawn promotes to queen at a1 and secure a stronghold in the game. King f4 played by white. King e6. King e4. King f6. Black's idea is to play King g5. King d4. Pawn a2. King d3. King f4 and dominate the board. King e3 move preferred by white. King f5. Black intends to play King g4. King d4. Pawn a2. King d5. King g3 and take decisive advantage. King f3 played by white. Pawn a2. Pawn g4 check. King e5. Pawn g5. Pawn promotes to queen at a1. Pawn g6. White's loss is confirmed. Let's go to the next game. Black just played Pawn g6. Pause the video to spot white's next move. On e5 check. King e6. King d4. King e7. King d5. White is looking to play. King c6. On f6. On takes f6 check. King takes f6. King takes b6 and dominate the board. King d7 move preferred by black. On h3. On g5. On takes g5. On takes g5. King d4. White is preparing to play. King d5. King e7. King c6. King e6. King takes b6 and seized the initiative. King e7 was chosen by black. King e3. White is preparing to play. King d4. King d7. King d5. King e7. King c6. King e6. King takes b6 and secure a stronghold in the game. King d7 move preferred by black. King f3. King e7. King g4. White is planning to play king takes g5 and gain a significant edge. On f6 move preferred by black. King f5. White is preparing to play pawn takes f6 check and seize the initiative. On takes e5 move preferred by black. King takes e5. King d7. King d5. White is aiming to play. King e5. King e7. King f5. King d6. King takes g5 and put immense pressure on the opponent. King e7 move preferred by black. King c6. King f6. King takes b6. King g6. King c5. White considers playing. King d6. King h5. King e5. King h4. King f6. On g4. On takes g4 and put immense pressure on the opponent. King h5 played by black. On b6. White wants to play. On b7. King h4. King d5 and seize the initiative. King h4 move preferred by black. King d4. White is aiming to play. King e4. King takes h3. On b7 and secure a stronghold in the game. King takes h3 was chosen by black. On b7. King g3. King e4. White is setting up to play. Pawn promotes to rook at b8 and establish a winning position. King g2 played by black. King f5. King f3. King takes g5. King e4. White is clearly ahead. Let's go to the next game. White played. On b3 pause the video and try to find black's next move. On h5. On h4. White might go for pawn takes g5 and increase their advantage significantly. On takes h4 was chosen by black. On takes h4. On c5. Black wants to play. On takes d4. On takes d4. On f4. King c3. King e4 and increase their advantage significantly. On takes c5 played by white. King takes c5. On e4. White might go for pawn takes f5 and establish a winning position. On f4 was chosen by black. King c3. On f3. King d3. White intends to play. King e3. On f2. King takes f2. On b4. On takes b4 check. King takes b4. On e5 and increase their advantage significantly. On f2 move preferred by black. Black might go for pawn promotes to queen at f1 check and dominate the board. King e2 move preferred by white. King d4. King takes f2. King takes e4. King e2. On b4. Black is looking to play pawn takes a3 and increase their advantage significantly. Pawn takes b4 move preferred by white. Pawn takes b4. King f2. King f4. Black is planning to play King g4. King e3. King takes h4 and dominate the board. King e2 move preferred by white. King g3. King d3. King takes h4. King c4. King g4. King d3. King f5. King c4. King e5. King takes b4. King d6. King c3. On h4. Black is aiming to play King c5. On b4 check. King b5. King d4. On h3. King e5. On h2. King d6. King b6 and seize the initiative. King d3 was chosen by white. On h3. Black is planning to play King d5. King e3. On h2. King f4. Pawn promotes to rook at h1 and seize the initiative. King e3 was chosen by white. On h2. King f4. Pawn promotes to queen at h1. On b4 black has a decisive advantage. Let's go to the next game. White played pawn takes b4 check. Pause the video to figure out black's next move. Pawn takes b4. On c4. King d4. On g3. On g5. Black is looking to play on g4 check. King e2. King takes e4 and establish a winning position. Pawn c5 was chosen by white. White is preparing to play pawn c6. On g4 check. King e2. King takes e4. On c7 and seize the initiative. King takes c5 move preferred by black. King e3. King d6. King d3. King e6. King c4. On f5. Pawn takes f5 check. King takes f5. King takes b4. On g4. King c5. White might go for King d5. On e4. King d4. On e3. King takes e3 and dominate the board. King e4 played by black. On b4. King f3. On b5. On e4. On b6. On e3. On b7. On e2. Pawn promotes to queen at b8. Pawn promotes to queen at e1. Black is looking to play King g2. Queen h8. King takes g3 and take decisive advantage. King c6 move preferred by white. King g2. King d7. Queen d2 check. King e6. Queen e3 check. King d7. Queen d3 check. King e6. Queen takes g3. Queen h8. Queen e3 check. King d7. Queen d3 check. King e7. Queen e4 check. King d6. On g3. Black intends to play King h1. Queen takes h5. On g2. Queen c5. Pawn promotes to queen at g1. Queen takes g1 check. King takes g1 and gain a significant edge. Queen takes h5 was chosen by white. King h2. Queen c5. On g2. Black intends to play pawn promotes to queen at g1. Queen takes g1 check. King takes g1 and establish a winning position. Queen f2 was chosen by white. King h1. Queen g3. Pawn promotes to queen at g1. Queen takes g1 check. King takes g1. On h5 black is dominating the board. Let's go to the next game.